Hi everybody, today I am taking a look at the Life Map Collective planners. Now I have known about these for a little while, but I was like, I don't know if I want to order them or not, and then a couple of you requested them and I was like, oh, okay, fine, well I will do anything for love, but I won't do that. Anyway, these are created by YouTuber MuchelleB. She is Australian, I believe, and is like a productivity and lifestyle YouTuber. I have seen some of her videos and I find them to be interesting, although I also find her, some of her tips to not really be practical for the life I live as a chronically ill mom of teenagers. And she's like, younger and doesn't have kids. That makes total sense. Like some people, their tips just don't apply to you, right? But I've always loved the aesthetic of her videos and I have been interested in her planners. And so now I have them and I ordered both the weekly and the daily to take a look at. Now with your planner purchase, you get access to her resources online, which I did a little poking around of. There's a lot of stuff there. She's got some pictures of examples of the planners in use. She's got some audio guides on how to use the planners, and she's got some free printables that you can also use. That's pretty cool. I bought the weekly and the daily. Before I go into both of them, I'll give you some overall stuff that goes for both planners. They're both vegan. They're both created in the US. They are both using FSC certified paper and vegetable-based inks. They're both hardcover. There's not color choices. The colors are specific to each planner. They're both A5 sized. They're both undated, and the shipping was actually fairly quick to me in the US. She does ship it to some international destinations. I do not know if she only ships from the US, so I'm not sure like what the shipping would be if you are in a different country other than the US. And honestly, I have no idea if you're in Australia, if she has a warehouse or like a fulfillment place in Australia, or if you'd have to wait from the US. I'm not really sure. If you're in Australia and you poked around the website, let us know in the comments, just because I'm very curious about that. Anyway, we'll start with the daily, I guess, because it's the smaller one. So this is the daily planner. It is $35, a 13-week planner. So if you were going to use this for the whole year, and you were going to get one quarterly, it would wind up being $140 for the whole year. Still less expensive than some of the other quarterly dailies I've seen recently. But, whenever I see a quarterly daily, I'm starting to get to the point where my nads start to shrivel up from the price. It's a light gray fabric coating. It has 258 pages, 2 bookmarks, 100 GSM paper, and yeah, let's take a look at it. So, the Life Map Collective. Now, one of the things I think is really sexy about both planners, although it's more obvious on the weekly than it is on the daily, is that there is foiling with the title of the planner, but it's white foil. And I think that is just super like sexy and sleek, which makes sense because her aesthetic in her videos, if you've ever watched them, is stunning. So it says the Life Map Daily in white foil on the gray fabric hardcover. And then on the side, it says Life Map Collective, and there's a little sunshine logo on the bottom, and then the back is blank. Now, it is not a lie flat planner, which is a major bummer. It also doesn't say that it is a lie flat planner. But that, to me, right there would almost be a deal breaker in general, because if I'm going to use a book-bound planner, I need it to lie flat. But again, like I said, she didn't claim that it was. So there's that. So you open it up. You get your Life Map Daily front page, printed like a book, it seems like. So here is a quote on the front page. It looks like it's numbered, starting on the very, very front page is page 1. Little introduction scene here. Here is an index with information about using your planner here at the start, and then your pages throughout the planner. Here's your life map journey. So you're supposed to design your 13 weeks with intention, decide on your goals using your dream map, design your months, design your weeks, design your days, reflect on your life map journey. So that's the journey in the planner. So this next page says finding guidance, and the only reason I'm covering it up is because it sends you to the resource page and has the password here, and I don't want to show that to the world because that's rude, man. Anyway, here is some more information about the Life Map Collective. Some mindset stuff, some remotivating yourself if you're unclear or if you're uninspired, some self-compassion. And one of the things I'm already starting to get annoyed with is the glue of the page up here, which usually makes the front page of any of these things kind of sucky, is really like, it's really kind of binding this shit up. Some space for creating self-compassion, and some prompts to help you embrace experimentation. Planning for success, so it gives you some steps to support your success. There's a Facebook community you can follow on Instagram. Commit to every week when you sit down with your planner. Find a friend who's also doing it. Bookmark your resources on your computer, and then complete this page, which is your life map habit. So these are some interesting habits here, which I think could be utilized with any planner system, right? To create a habit of planning. I actually really like this. So think about it for a second. How will you make your planner more visible and easy to complete? How will you create accountability for your weekly life map dates? What will you do if you miss a weekly life map date? How will you bounce back quickly and with self-compassion? And when will you complete your planning habit? Like when and where? These are some interesting questions that even if you're not using this planner, maybe you should consider them. Maybe I should consider them when it comes to figuring out how you're going to best use your planner to help you in your life, but also keep it where it belongs as a planner and not as something that just overtakes your life. So this is where you start a theme that you're going to focus on and bring into your life for the next 13 weeks, including some supporting words. Shaping your values. So you've got 5 different values here and how you can embrace this value in the next 13 weeks. There isn't a lot of information on how to define what your values are. I guess they just assume you already have them. Here is things you'd like to start doing more of in the next 13 weeks and stop doing in the next 13 weeks. Here are some lists to change your life. The experience list. What experiences do you want to create? And the discomfort list. How do you want to get out of your comfort zone? I'm going to quit saying in the next 13 weeks. Just assume while I'm in this planner that this is for the next 13 weeks, unless I say otherwise. Here is the connection list. It gives you space for 3 people to connect with, why and how. Over the next 13 weeks, I just said I wasn't going to say that. And then the growth list. What books, movies, courses, or other media do you want to spend time on to support the person you want to become? Here are some places to map out your routines. We've got morning routine, workday startup routine, workday shutdown routine, and evening routine. And for each routine, you have 6 spaces. Here's your dream map, which is to create your goals. So it's a spot, some prompts here to help you brainstorm your dreams. Then we have some spots to decide on your goals. You make basically a list of goals here, and then you rate these different prompts to figure out which is your most important one. And then here you do the same thing and you rate it to see which one, like these are going to be the top 4 goals that would have the biggest impact on your life. Then you'll rate them to see which one is your most important one. And then here you've put 4 smaller goals, do the same process, rate them, and then take the top 2 to figure out your 2 mini goals for the next 13 weeks. So here's a spot to write that most important goal, why it's important to you, what your outcome is going to look like, and what actions you need to take daily or weekly to achieve it. More information for your most important goal. How can you make your actions easier or more likely to happen? Imagine if 13 weeks have passed and you've barely made any progress. What did you do or not do to get here? And how can you use this information to make sure you succeed? Use the space below to get clarity on the first action steps. This prompt here, the one about imagining that the time has passed and what you might have done or not done to get to a place where you hadn't really done the thing you wanted to do. I actually think that's a really interesting question, and it's something that I don't know if, at least for me, asking myself for a year-long goal would be helpful, but for a shorter-term goal like 13 weeks, could be a very interesting way to look at things. 2 spreads for your mini goals. Again, you fill out the same stuff, but just for those 2 mini goals. So you have spreads for 2 of those. And then you have a notes page on the back. And then this is where the 13 weeks starts. So here is your monthly spread. It's undated. You have a quote up here. It's a Monday start. You get 5 weeks, a space to write in the day. It is not lined, and there's a notes column, and it's somewhere to write the month in. The next section is your monthly refresh. So it gives you a space for the month and to write down some stuff about the month. It gives you some check off things to do, like reviewing your weeks of intention and your dream map posts, everything else. Like go back and review all your shit. And then your theme, your values, your top 3 accomplishments for the month, your top 3 highlights. What can you do next month to make it memorable? And it suggests you reference your list to change your life. Here's a monthly refresh. What's working? What's not working? Are there changes you need to make? And by the end of next month, I will have blank. It looks like all of your months are together at the start. So you have 3 months worth of monthly spreads and monthly refreshes. Then we're into your first week. Week 1 plan. You have a spot for your week, your most important goal, your mini goal. And then here are your weekly goals, which are 3 things you can do to move closer to your most important goal. Much like 13 weeks, the word goal is starting to lose all meaning to me right now. 2 things you'd love to do to move towards your mini goals, other tasks, a tracker that gives you 5 things to track with the whole week. And then this is for your plan for the week. This is your week review. How did you spend your time? And you're supposed to rate it versus 1, which is without tension and unaligned with my values. And 10 is full intention and total alignment with my values. Your top 3 wins. How are your goals tracking? How do they make you feel? And what challenges did you face in achieving your goals? How can you improve? And other notes. And one of the things I'm really liking about this planner is all of the little references to previous work that you did. Now, other goal planners also have a bunch of work that you do, but these little reminders every week to go and just double check on some of these things. I don't know if they continue throughout the planner or not. Yep, it looks like they do. So I think that's just a great way to just help you kind of reconnect with the stuff that you worked on, you said you wanted. So all of these plans are, again, at the front of the planner. And just as we should expect, there are 13 of them. And so then we get into your daily spread, and it looks like you get a 2-page spread for each day. It says daily map. You get to circle which day of the week and then a spot to write the date. Again, you reiterate your most important goal, your mini goals. You have a daily action. If you could only do 1 thing today, what it would be. And there's a suggestion here that you decide on this the night before so that you can start your day easier. 2 things you'd like to accomplish today are other tasks, a daily mindset. It says here these questions will change daily. Complete them in the morning or night. So like this one is, what is something I'm proud of myself doing? Here's, what in my life am I bored of? Every day's got different questions. And then there's a spot for 3 things you're grateful for. There is a daily schedule, which has half hours, and it's from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. You've got a spot to check off all 4 of those same routines you mapped out: the morning, the evening, the start of the workday, and the end of the workday. You've got that same daily reflection of how well you spent your time to rate. You have a spot to remind you to update your weekly tracker since they're not on the same page. I actually think that's really helpful for people like me who forget shit, to remind you to go to your week. And the cool thing with the 2 bookmarks, especially in this planner, is that you can keep 1 on your day and 1 on your week. So that makes it easy to go back and forth. My biggest wins were, how could I make this day better, and notes. And so this is your daily situation. Now, it doesn't say in the pile of information how many days there are, but I'm assuming if it's 13 weeks, then it's probably 91 days, because that's 7 times 13. And then you have your 2 bookmarks, which are both the same color gray. And then at the end of the planner, you have the 13-week closeout. So a celebration spot, what worked, the highlights, a time warp. If you would go back in time, would you choose the same goals? Why or why not? Mistakes, learnings, and changes. And then on the what next, it gives you just some steps like get your next planner, blah, blah, blah. I would almost hope that there was something. I know some planners place it like somewhere where you would need to order it if you were using it every day, but that also for an undated planner, I don't know if that would work. And then here's the end of it. So I will say that the 2 planners have different paper. This paper is a 100-pound It's a kind of a gray cast. All of the type on this page is like a dark gray. It's very pretty. I am going to pen test the back of this one because, like I said, both planners have different weights of paper. I've got a Pentel Energel Clenna, a Pitt Artist Pen Fine Liner, a Tombow Dual Brush Pen, a Zig Clean Color Dot Marker, and a Zebra Mild Liner. So my first thought while putting this ink down is that the marker ink seemed like it was soaking into the paper very quickly. And so it doesn't surprise me that if you look at the back side, the Zig, both the heavy and the light press down, both bled through. The Tombow and the mild liner did not bleed through, but it came very close on like where the markers were originally set down. There is very, very little ridging with the gel pen, even with my heavy hand, but there also is very, very little ridging with the fine liner. Definitely shadowing and some bleed through. So for the daily paper, the daily planner paper, I would be very careful. You totally just use regular pens on this, especially if you don't mind the shadowing. But with markers, I would take very special care with this paper, it seems like. So now let's take a look at the weekly. This fabric covering is Cappuccino, light Cappuccino. It's got a full year in it, $39. The paper is 120 GSM. It also has the same 2 bookmarks and everything else. And then like I said earlier, I love the white foiling on this kind of slightly darker color. Looks like the color schemes of the weekly planner has like a bunch of like kind of warm toned, sort of neutral, not neutral, but warm toned, like muted colors, whereas the daily planner is all grays. I like the color scheme of the daily better. It's more neutral, but this is very pretty and again fits right in her aesthetic. I feel like the weekly actually probably fits in her aesthetic more than the daily. It also does not lie flat, but this planner is thicker both because of thicker paper, but also I wonder if it has just more pages. It looks like about 6 more pages than the other planner. So the difference in the thickness is 6 pages, which isn't much, but the paper weight is heavier. So that I think is what accounts for the thickness. Your intentional life starts here. So you have a whole bunch more shit. You have dream maps every quarter. So you get like a quarterly situation. This paper feels so much thicker and it's got a little bit of a tooth to it. Yeah, it's still got a cast to it. It's not bright white. It's very much like an off-white. I will say there's like ink spattered on it. I don't know if that's like part of the design for this page or if it's just the ink that's spattered from this like kind of terracotta looking situation. All of these things are the same. The shifting your mindset, embracing experimentation, your life map habit, all that stuff. So here's designing a year of intention. And she's got some more tips here, giving you some things to set the scene, like lighting a candle, pouring yourself a warm drink, maybe doing a warm shower, having some snacks, getting your resources together, blah, blah, blah. Here's a spot to look back on your last 12 months. The 4 words that come to mind are, if you had to give it a rating out of 10, what would you score it? And then in the last year of your life, what's become more and less important to you? How did you expand out of your comfort zone? What did you make progress on that you're proud of? And what habits did you start or stop that changed the game? How do you view your mistakes? The mistakes you made, what you learned? How can these lessons help you next year? What goals did you set in the last year? How did they go? And how could you improve your goal setting process? I'm having to hold this to keep the thing from bouncing shut. I'm mentioning that now because it's a little annoying. Here are your values, the same kind of value page that you got before. And then here's 80-20 year, big picture happiness. Use your social media history, calendar, diary, and any planners to reflect on what events and activities made you the happiest and what took away from your happiness. So the good things that happened made you more happy, the things that took away from your happiness and well-being, and what patterns did you notice so you can use this information to plan how you'll spend your time in the future? I like that idea for reflection. And then here's what you do on a same kind of deal, except the last one was for the whole year. This is for a daily and weekly basis, good and the bad, and the patterns. And then designing your anti-vision. This is basically an exercise for you to determine what the worst year of your life would look like And so you can then invert it and use that to figure out your perfect year. I actually really don't like that exercise, but mostly because as somebody who's chronically ill with children, I don't want to think about what the worst year of my life would look like. But you're supposed to take that and then use that to figure out a year full of growth and learning. So at this time next year, you want your mind and body, your relationships, your career and financial life, your home. What do you want these things to feel like and look like? And then it helps you decide on your theme for the year. So one of the things I really like about this that wasn't in the daily is it gives you a little bit of work to do before you decide on your theme of the year. Whereas in the daily, it just is like, what's your theme? So I like that this does give you some like stuff to ponder up front, even if I don't know if a lot of the prompts appeal to me. So here's your 13-week dream map 1, which looks like you get a lot more to do in this planner. There's some more ink on this page than you do in the daily. It gives you some ways to reflect on your life in various categories: exercise, nutrition, sleep, relaxation, connection, play and adventure, meaning, self-compassion, career, home environment, and finance. And you rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. Then you've got some place to reflect on the actions that could help you improve in those areas. Here is a spot to start a mind map for the things you want to start and the things you want to stop. Here are the lists to change your life, and it looks like they're a little bit more extensive than the ones that are in the daily. You have a local adventure list, a growth list, purchases to make, and discomfort list. So things that you're going to make yourself uncomfortable to make your life more fulfilling. And then you have a connecting list, which is, again, more extensive than the one in the daily. A 3-month planning your moments spot to kind of like plan out what you want it to look like for 3 months. A place to brainstorm your dreams, stuff you're struggling with and bothering you, the goals you could accomplish, which if you accomplish them, they'd make things easier or better. And then what dreams would bring you closer to your theme. Imagine you've been fired from being you. Someone else is charged with taking over your life and improving it. What changes would they make? I think that's an interesting one. Wouldn't it be cool if in the next 13 weeks and then some just additional space. Then we're into figuring out the top 4 goals so you could figure out which one is your best goal, listing what your goals are and why they're important to you. Here's a spot to create your vision for the next year, including like what your life would look like if you achieve all 3 of those goals. A place to map out outcomes, actions, habits, blah, blah, blah. Got a couple pages for that. Measurable outcomes for your main goal and your 2 mini goals, like spot to list those. Habits that you could do daily or weekly to achieve your goals. And then creating a plan. How can you make the actions easier? How can you make them more likely? How can you make them more appealing? And then here's those same prompts about 13 weeks has passed. How can you use the information that you uncovered to make sure you succeed? So here are your 13 weeks. You have all 13 of those week plans and reviews that you had from the previous planner. And then your monthly life refresh. You basically have your weeks first. Week 1 plan, week 1 review. Then you have your monthly life refresh and goal refreshes for 3 months. And then a dream map closeout for the 13 weeks. What are you going to do to celebrate? What worked, wins, time warp, mistakes, learnings, changes. Basically very similar to the daily planner. It also says that there's some extra sheets that you can download at the collective resource page in case you want a few more weeks to work on your goals. Then you go back into your dream map for the next week. Whole thing repeats. Whole thing repeats, and the whole thing repeats. And then at the end of the year, there's a reflections page where you look at the list to change your life to see what you accomplished. You read over the wins and challenges that you read in your planner, and then your most meaningful wins, your favorite highlights, and then some next steps to getting your new planner. I did not realize that there wasn't going to be any sort of planning pages in here. There are no calendar spreads and there are no like weekly, like hourly layouts. This is just basically a goal planner. I didn't realize that when I got it. So that's good to know. Good to know for you too, because the daily planner actually gives you planner pages, but the weekly year-long planner does not. So this is basically a very extensive goal planner. Now let me test this paper out. So this paper is 120 GSM. It has a small amount of tooth to it, and it has a cast. I feel like the cast in the daily planner, like they're both kind of off-white, but definitely the daily planner is cool-toned and the weekly planner is warm toned in the cast. Now I had the same sensation of the pen kind of soaking into the paper, but we definitely have less bleed through. There's no bleed through at all. I don't feel more than just this tiniest bit of ridging with the gel pen. There is shadowing with all of it, but zero bleed through. So this paper is definitely less prone to it. The funny thing is that I would prefer the better paper in the book with planning pages than the book with goal planning pages, because I feel like I would be more inclined to use markers in the daily planner than in this weekly planner, but that's just me personally. So overall, what do I think of these? I think it's an interesting system. It's not one that appeals to me, but I did find some prompts in here that I may want to incorporate into my own personal goal setting. These are both beautiful, beautiful planners. I should also mention the bookmarks in this one are white, but they are not as long as the other one. So that's kind of a bummer. Yeah, these are beautiful, beautiful planners. However, the biggest issue I think I take with them is the not lying flat. Like I was like having to really hold it to even take a look at it. I can imagine, especially on some of the pages at the start or the end of the planner, it would be a massive pain in the ass to write in these. So I think out of everything in here that's like a hard no for me, that would be the hard no, especially in the weekly where the pages are thicker. Although I would say it would be a little less pain in the ass for me in the weekly because I wouldn't be using it as like my weekly planner. I'd use it just as a goal planner to check in on. And so it wouldn't maybe bother me as much as something like the daily where I'd be referencing it every single day. I don't know. It's an interesting system with a lot of interesting prompts. Yeah, I guess the biggest thing to watch out for, really, more than anything else, is note that the weekly planner doesn't have any like schedule planning pages, and they don't lie flat. They really, really, really don't lie flat. So those are the things to look out for. I'm going to be giving these away. Keep an eye on my YouTube community tab because that's where they'll be given away. And because they're undated, I'll probably procrastinate on it for a bit, but it will happen. So just make sure to keep an eye on it. I'd love to hear from you in the comments what you think of these planners and any other planners you'd like me to take a look at. And until next time, my friends, take care of yourselves. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and peace out.